on the Titanic, but they're on the top deck. We're on the bottom deck. So when the ship sinks, guess who drowns first? So what I'm saying to you is I believe that you should have a lifeboat. I'm saying that you should not go down with the damn Titanic and assume that that's all that there is. You don't have to be on the damn ship. You don't have to be on the Titanic with everybody else. So get a lifeboat. Being an entrepreneur is a lifeboat. It does not mean that you have to go and quit your job and run a business. It means that you're prepared to do what you got to do to bring money into the house and put food on the table. Because one thing I can confirm to you without a doubt in my soul is that America is full of money. You live in a country where there's money everywhere. Money is all over the place. And if it seems like money is rare, it's only because you haven't been taught to be economically conscious enough to know where it is. The money's flying right past you every day, and a lot of us are never trained to see it because we only see money and opportunity if it shows up in a job application. We only see an opportunity if it shows up in a paycheck. We only see opportunity, and I'm not talking about just uneducated folks. I'm talking about all of y'all out there with the master's degrees and the law degrees and the PhDs and the MDs and everything else. You're in this category too. Same to you. You sitting on LinkedIn, you lost your job, you're looking for an opportunity out there, and you're hoping that somebody will post something where you can go get a job with somebody. You can attach yourself to somebody else's Titanic. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all. I'm not job shaming at all. I'm not doing that. Let's be clear on that. Give me a yes if we can be clear and understand that this is a nuanced argument where I'm not telling you that there's anything wrong with your kid growing up and getting a job or having a career. What I'm saying is that they should always have a plan B. I'm not saying I'm not saying stay off the Titanic. The music is good. The food is delicious. The ship may not be sinking for a while. What I'm saying is just have your little lifeboat so that when these folks start acting crazy, you can get up out of here. You've got somewhere to go. So that's the first thing. This is what I would call the Black Wealth Master Plan. I'm going to repeat this 10 million times. You all are just hearing it for the first time. Okay, you're the first ones to ever hear this. Number one, every Black child should know how to start a business by the age of 12. They should spend at least a couple hundred hours being trained on entrepreneurship, what that looks like, how to start a business, all the basics, so that when they get older, they will always have an option. They can turn back to those basics when they need them. Think about it. Your kid's going to spend 5,000 hours at football practice, 5,000 hours at cheerleading camp, 5,000 hours at basketball camp. They will never be a professional basketball player. They will never be a professional football player. They will not be a professional cheerleader, but they are going to be a professional Black person who has to feed their kids, which means that I believe they should spend as much time learning Black economics as they spend learning how to dribble basketballs and throw footballs and do all these other things that we learn how to do. Number two, here's the second rule of the Black Wealth Master Plan. Write this down. Every Black child should own shares of stock by the age of 5. By the age of 5, every Black child should own shares of stock and someone should be investing for them consistently. This is linked to the original Black Wealth Master Plan, the $5 a day plan. If you go to blackwealthmasterplan.com, I explain that. It's very easy to do. It only requires discipline and it requires consistency. If there's discipline, consistency, what you're doing is you're giving your child something more important than a college degree. You're giving them a capital base. If you give them a capital base, then they don't need a job. A person with a capital base does not need to go to work if they don't want to. A person with a capital base does not need to go sell booty in order to pay the rent that month. A person with a capital base doesn't have to go get on his knees and beg for an opportunity. A person with a capital base has freedom. They have that freedom, all that Martin Luther King civil rights stuff that we talked about. That's where the freedom is in America. The freedom in America belongs first and foremost to people who have enough money to pay their own bills. It goes back to when you were a little kid. When I was a kid, I used to try to do what I wanted, and my mother would say, you don't pay no bills in this house. You can't pay your own bills. You do what I say. So as soon as I turned 18, I learned how to pay my own bills. Once I learned how to pay my own bills, they didn't mess with me no more. I did whatever I wanted. I did whatever I wanted. Well, the same thing is true with life. The same thing is true with life. I really, honestly, I'm going to just sound cynical when I say this, to be honest with you. I've always kind of felt like we're trained to believe that white people are our parents. I really do. I kind of almost feel like the way I feel with the way we're supposed to view other cultures to take care of us, I really feel the same way I felt when I was 16 and I needed my mother and father to pay my bills for me. And I couldn't do anything without their permission or their approval. Their disapproval came with significant consequences. I could not move or wiggle without getting clearance from them. And I feel in society in general, that's kind of where we live. And I don't want to live like that no more. I don't like that. So if you want your child to be free, make sure they're only stopped by the age of 5. Now, here's a little thing I'm gonna have to tell you. This is another piece of truth. But again, I set high standards. Um, 5 years old is really too late too. 5 years old is late. It's like, you know how people are late for retirement planning, they gotta double down on their investment. Really, the $5 a day plan works best when you start at birth. It works best when you start before birth. I believe that the more extreme you feel about the pressures that come with economic stress, the more extreme you should also be when it comes to preparing to deal with those pressures. The more painful economic struggle is, the more energy must be put into preparation. So to me, an extreme situation, the racial wealth gap is very extreme. White folks have 10 times more wealth than black people. That's very extreme. Racism on the job that we experience and the trauma of that, the pain of that, that's very extreme.